there is something about Hogwarts Legacy that doesn't make sense. After all, we are talking about a game that had one of the biggest gaming launches in history, outsold Call of Duty, dominated Twitch, and sold over 30 million copies. And somehow, just a few months after its massive launch and hype, people completely stopped talking about it. But why? This is a game that, if we're being honest, should have been nominated for a Game of the Year award. Some say it is one of the greatest Harry Potter games ever made, while others think it is one of the most overrated open world games of this generation. So the question is, was Hogwarts Legacy actually that good? Or were we all simply blinded by the dream of finally getting our Hogwarts letter, like Kai Cenat's streamer university admission letter? Now, to answer that question, we have to go back before the game even released. For almost 20 years, Harry Potter fans were waiting for one thing, and no, it wasn't another movie tie-in game or Lego game. The fans wanted to live inside Hogwarts, attend classes, and maybe use unforgivable curses. This sounds obvious now, but for years nobody was able to bring this game to life. Sure, there were plenty of Harry Potter games, most were fun and some were genuinely great, but none of them truly captured what fans imagined while reading the books. The fans wanted Skyrim just inside Hogwarts, and after years of rumors, Avalanche Software finally announced Hogwarts Legacy. Finally, someone was about to make the Harry Potter RPG everyone had imagined since childhood. But before players even touched the game, controversy completely took over the conversation. In all my years of living in this world, this wasn't a normal game launch. The discussion wasn't centered around graphics or gameplay or even the performance. Instead, every conversation became political. Many people were now calling for a boycott because of J.K. Rowling's views on transgender issues. Even though Avalanche Software stated multiple times that Rowling was not directly involved with the writing of this game's story. The controversy became one of the biggest gaming discussions at that time, to the point that even people who couldn't hold a controller to save their own lives had opinions about the game. Streamers were criticized simply for playing it, and others refused to cover it altogether. Social media became incredibly divided, but despite all the controversy, players kept buying the game. The game didn't just have high sales numbers, the game started breaking records, which proved players weren't even bothered about the opinions of Karens or useless internet debates. They were buying Hogwarts Legacy because this was a game they had dreamed about since they were kids, and they wouldn't let that dream be shattered by Twitter peasants. Avalanche understood that Hogwarts itself was the main character. You see, most developers would have focused on making an enormous map, Ubisoft, but Avalanche focused on making Hogwarts feel real. Even the tiniest detail felt handcrafted. The castles didn't just feel accurate, they felt alive, and this made players not rush through the objectives. Many players spent hours lore hunting or simply just walking around, as every corridor made you wonder if you'd find some sort of Easter egg, and that ability to trigger your curiosity became one of the game's biggest strengths. This might generally be one of the greatest digital recreation of Hogwarts ever made. Not because it was graphically impressive, but because it understands scale. The books constantly describe Hogwarts as mysterious. The staircases move, doors appear, and secrets hide behind ordinary walls. Avalanche translated that feeling into gameplay. You weren't just blindly following a minimap, you were learning the castle till you eventually started recognizing classrooms naturally, exactly like a real student would. You see, very few games achieve this feat except for Rockstar's Bully. For fans of the Harry Potter universe, many always had the thought of how flying on a broom would feel. And yes, the game absolutely nailed this experience for longtime hardcore fans. The first time you leap off the astronomy tower, you immediately understand why this mechanic works so well. Flying wasn't just a means of transportation, it genuinely felt like freedom. And as you flew, the entire world opened up. I can only speak for myself, but instead of fast traveling, I chose to always fly around because of how fun it was. Now, this was the biggest shocker for me, and I'm sure it shocked many other people. You see, looking at Hogwarts Legacy, you'd expect a simple spell casting system. Instead, Avalanche built something unexpected. Combat revolved around juggling enemies with Leviosa, slamming them down with Descendo, or you could also pull enemies in and make barrels explode with ancient magic. You could chain combos and constantly swap spell sets. Instead of just mashing one attack, the combat system made you actually use your brain, as you were constantly constantly thinking. This approach made encounters seem like a magical puzzle. Should you disarm, freeze, burn, or curse, launch an enemy into another enemy, or finish them off with ancient magic. And even late into the game, combat rarely became boring, especially after unlocking more spell combinations. This was perhaps the second biggest surprise, the room of requirement, which nobody expected to become an addictive feature. Here, players spend countless hours decorating rooms, breeding magical beasts, and brewing potions and optimizing resources. This feature almost became an entirely separate game. Many players spend dozens of hours there before even touching the main story. Now this is where opinions became more divided. On one hand, it is beautiful. The forbidden forests, coastal villages, snow-covered mountains, and ancient ruins. Every biome looked fantastic, and flying across them feels magical. But this is also where one of the biggest criticisms appear. Outside Hogwarts, the world slowly becomes more repetitive. Many Merlin trials begin to blur together. You start to notice how enemy camps, treasure vaults repeats, and side activities all look repetitive. Sure, it is content, but not always meaningful content. But to be honest, this is a common issue with modern open world games. Quantity often replaces quality, but because traversal is so enjoyable, many players didn't even pay this issue no mind. Now, without spoiling the story for those of you who have this game as a backlog, the story centers on ancient magic, a mysterious power your character can see and wield, drawing you into a conflict that stretches back centuries. It does a brilliant job of not retelling Harry Potter, and this was a smart decision. Instead, what it does is it tells a story that expands the wizarding world. Professor Fig provides a compelling mentor, while Sebastian's quest involving forbidden magic is widely regarded as the emotional highlight of this game, and Omnis adds another layer by showing the consequences of dark family traditions. But Sebastian's storyline in particular explores grief, obsession, and how good intentions can lead someone down a dangerous path. For me, I truly feel Sebastian's story was actually stronger than the main plot itself. Not every character receives the same depth, but the game succeeds in making the world feel connected to the larger Harry Potter universe without relying on Harry, Voldemort, or Dumbledore. This is the most underrated thing about Hogwarts Legacy, and it is the one thing people rarely praise enough: the soundtrack. The soundtrack captures that unmistakable magical feeling without simply copying John Williams' iconic themes. As you walk through Hogwarts or soar across the countryside, the score shifts naturally between wonder, mystery, and adventure. This helps make familiar locations feel intimate even though this story takes place long before Harry Potter's time. Great music often goes unnoticed because it feels like it belongs, and Hogwarts Legacy soundtrack is one of those cases. Now it is time to discuss the hundreds of tiny touches that made fans smile. Hogwarts Legacy allows all of you cat lovers out there to pet those little cuties. They also throw in the moving portraits, which is almost exclusive to the Harry Potter universe. Floating candles, they gave us the Great Hall, seasonal changes, students can even be seen chatting in corridors. I know these aren't revolutionary mechanics, but together they sell the fantasy. And that is really what Hogwarts Legacy is all about. Fantasy. Now, to answer the question I asked in the beginning of this video, was it really that good? The answer is yes, but maybe not for the reason people expected. Hogwarts Legacy isn't the greatest open world RPG ever made. Its side content becomes repetitive. Your choices rarely have lasting consequences, something like The Witcher 3, where mistakes are set in stone and alter the way the story plays out. The morality system here is surprisingly limited. Many RPG mechanics feel shallower than they first appear. Yet despite all of that, the game accomplishes something incredibly difficult. It makes you feel like you are attending Hogwarts, and no game before it had managed that on this scale. And this was the game's greatest achievement, not innovation, but fulfilling the fantasy millions of people have held for decades. And this is why it sold so well and many players loved it, because despite its flaws, Hogwarts Legacy remains one of the most successful licensed games ever made. Not because it is perfect, but because for millions of fans, it finally delivered the letter they had always been waiting for since childhood. But hey, That's just me. What do you guys think? Was Hogwarts Legacy actually one of the best games of this generation, or did nostalgia carry it farther than it deserved to? Let me know everything in the comment section. I'd love to hear whether you think it lived up to the wizarding world of fantasy or fell short of it. Let me know what you thought of this video if you had any thoughts, and I'll be waiting for you guys in the comment section. Please, if you enjoyed this video, kindly hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell icon so you can get notified when I upload videos like this. And until next time, peace and love.
Incredible.